Hey Equals, it's Kim, and this is the second in my series about how do you answer a question like, what's your sexual orientation? I just did, and I'll link it up here, a video on how to answer a question about your gender identity. So these are questions that you might find in a list with all kinds of other demographic information. So just general questions about yourself. What is your age? What is your race? What is your religion? What is your sex? Whatever those questions might be, they're questions about you. Whoever's asking them is trying to learn a little more about who you are, so that they can treat you as a whole person. They may need the numbers for a grant, whatever they're asking for. I'm trying to take this series and help people, especially cisgender straight people, know how to answer those questions. Now, I've run into a few people, and they're all good, well-meaning people who go, what? Why are you asking me that question? Why are you asking me about my sexual orientation? I don't have a sexual orientation. Or why are you asking me about my gender identity? I don't have a gender identity. The point of this series is that we all have a sexual orientation. We all have a race. Those of you who are white out there, it's Caucasian. All right? We all have a race, but a lot of us have some privilege in that we don't have to think about these things. We don't have to think about our race. We don't have to think about our gender identity. We don't have to think about our sexual orientation, because everybody else that we run into, for the most part, also has the same race and sexual orientation and gender identity that we do. They're just sort of assumed, and we never really have to think about them. By the way, that's called privilege. But I want to just help people, those people who want to know, if you get asked one of these questions, just how do you answer the question, right? So we've talked about gender identity. Now we're going to talk about sexual orientation. So it's really kind of simple. There are basically 4 major responses to a sexual orientation question. We'll talk about the 5th also a little bit, but basically there's 4. So you could be heterosexual, and most of you out there are heterosexual. This is your sexual orientation. So if asked, what is your sexual orientation? You would say heterosexual. What does that mean? It means that you are a cisgender person, that your genitalia and how your brain feels about who you are match, so maybe that's male, and you are attracted pretty much exclusively to in a romantic, physical, psychological way to the opposite sex, to women in that case, who are also cisgender. So that's heterosexual, and most of you out there, that's going to be the answer. It's really kind of simple. That is your sexual orientation. Then there are folks who are homosexual, where they may be male, I'll stay with the same example I was using before, male, and they're attracted to, for the most part, to other men. Then you could be, and that's also true, would be true for women, cisgender women who are attracted to cisgender women. And then there is bisexual. So this would be if you're a man or a woman and you are attracted to both men and women. There's some discussion about whether bisexual is, you're attracted to men or women, or that you're attracted to everybody, even people who don't identify as a man or a woman. Conversation for another day. So bisexual, so we've had heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and then there's asexual. So those are for people who really don't feel like they're attracted to anyone. And those folks are out there. And so so those are the 4 general answers to a sexual orientation question: heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and asexual. There are people out in the world with whom I disagree, who would tell you that sexual orientation could encompass illegal orientations or illegal activity. No, we're talking about perfectly legal activity, because we aren't actually talking about the activity. We're talking about attraction here. Right? Activity is a different category. This is just who you are. What is who do you feel attracted to inside your body? We aren't talking about behaviors at this point. And that's why you have heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and asexual as the main categories. If you are indigenous, the idea of two-spirit may come in here, although it's also encompasses some degree gender identity, but I don't want to ignore it. So, real quick video today. You've been asked a sexual orientation question. How do you answer it? Heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, asexual, two-spirit. And if you are a women's studies major, or you are an LGBT person who doesn't identify with some of those more standard words, you know how to answer the question. You are not the audience for this vlog. This is for folks who don't know how they would answer the question. So anyway, equals, have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.